You don't start a new life by waiting for life to change. You start a new life by making a decision, not just a wish, a real decision. A moment where you say, enough. From here on, things will be different. You can't drift into a better future. You design it. And the good news is you can start right now. It doesn't take a new year. It doesn't take a lucky break. All it takes is a fresh mindset and a firm commitment. If your current life doesn't match your dreams, it's not the dream that needs to change. It's the plan. And plans start with awareness. What's working? What's not? What's missing? What you're tolerating? And what you're avoiding? That's where the new life begins, in honesty. Then comes responsibility. You take charge of your choices, your time, your habits, your associations. You stop blaming. You stop repeating. You stop repeating. You begin the process of becoming. It's not always easy, but it is always worth it. Because a new life doesn't mean a new location or a new job or a new relationship. A new life begins when you become a new you. And you do that by learning more, doing more, becoming more. Every day, piece by piece. You build. You walk away from what drains you. You walk toward what grows you. And eventually you look around and realize you didn't just improve your life. You built a new one. And it all started with a decision. Decide clearly and firmly. That's where everything begins. A real decision is powerful. It's not a thought. It's not a hope. It's a line in the sand. It says, from this point forward, I will no longer settle. People often say they want to change, but they never decide. They say, I should stop this, or someday I'll start that. But a should and a someday don't move mountains. Only a clear and firm decision has the strength to create a new direction. You must decide what you want. Decide who you will become. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. This kind of decision is not just made with your mind, it's made with your whole being. It's when your mind, your heart, your body, and your spirit all agree. This is the way forward. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. You're going to stumble. You're going to have days when the old life pulls at you. But when your decision is firm, you won't quit. You'll adjust. You'll rise. You'll remember why you started. Deciding clearly gives you focus. It tells your brain what to look for. It tells your time where to go. It tells your habits what to align with. You start to attract ideas, people, and opportunities that match your direction. You stop living by chance and start living by choice. Most people don't fail because of lack of talent. They fail because they never made the decision to succeed. They wanted to try, but they didn't choose. They wanted change, but they left the door open for excuses. When you decide clearly and firmly, the door to your old life slams shut, and a new one opens, full of challenge, yes, but also full of possibility. That's the power of a real decision. It changes everything. You design, not drift. That's the truth most people never stop to realize. Life doesn't get better by accident. It gets better by intention. If you don't choose the direction of your life, the world will choose it for you. And the world doesn't always have your best interests in mind. Drifting is easy. It's comfortable. You go with the flow. You follow the crowd. You react instead of create. But here's the problem. Drifting never leads to fulfillment. It leads to confusion, frustration, and regret. Because you wake up one day and wonder, how did I end up here? The answer is simple. You didn't design it. You let it happen. But when you take responsibility and start designing your life, everything changes. You stop asking, what should I do today? And you start saying, this is what I'm building. You create goals that mean something. You shape your days around your purpose. You say no to distractions. You say yes to growth. Designing your life is about clarity. Clarity of vision. Clarity of values. Clarity of action. You stop drifting in circles and start moving in a direction. Your direction. You may not know all the steps, but you know the destination, and that gives you power. Design isn't just planning, it's choosing. Choosing what matters. Choosing who you spend time with. Choosing how you speak to yourself. Choosing how you show up when things get hard. You can't control everything, but you can design how you respond. You can design your character. You can design your daily habits. You can design a future that looks like your values, not your fears. But you must choose, because if you don't, someone else will, and you'll drift. Drifting looks harmless in the moment, but over time it takes you far from where you wanted to be. Designing takes effort, but it also gives meaning. Every great life was designed, not by chance, not by luck, but by choice. No need to wait. That's the truth. You don't need to wait for the right time. And you don't need to wait for a perfect plan. You don't need to wait for approval, permission, or applause. You don't need to wait for January 1st. You don't need to wait for Monday morning. You don't need to wait until you feel ready, because you won't always feel ready. Life doesn't wait. Life doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause until you're confident. Opportunities don't hang around forever. So why are you waiting? Waiting is often fear dressed up as logic. We tell ourselves we're being careful. We say we're thinking things through. But deep down, we know the truth. We're stalling. We're doubting. We're afraid to take the first step because we don't know the outcome. But that's the nature of growth. You step before you're certain. You move before you're completely prepared. You act in the presence of fear, not the absence of it. The idea that there's a perfect moment to begin, it's a myth. The perfect moment is now, because now is all you really have. You don't need everything to be figured out. You just need to start. One small action, one firm decision. That's how change begins. Start messy if you have to. Start unsure. Start scared. But start, because waiting creates hesitation. Hesitation creates regret. And regret is far heavier than failure. You will learn as you go. You will adjust. You will evolve. But none of that can happen until you begin. Most people spend years waiting for something to change, without realizing they were the one meant to change it. You don't need more time. You need more courage. You don't need a sign. You are the sign. So stop looking at the clock. Stop checking the calendar. You've waited long enough. No need to wait. The best version of your life is waiting for you to show up. And it starts right now. I assess honestly. That's the step most people avoid. Because honesty isn't always comfortable, but it's always necessary. You can't change what you refuse to see. You can't grow from what you keep denying. So if you want to start a new life, you have to start with truth, not excuses, not stories, not blame. Truth. Truth. Where are you right now? What's really happening in your life, in your habits, in your mindset? What's working for you? What's holding you back? What are you pretending not to know? What have you been tolerating that you should have let go of long ago, Honest assessment isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. You don't have to beat yourself up. You don't have to feel ashamed, but you do have to be real. Be real about your strengths. Be real about your weaknesses. Be real about the choices you've made. Because if you lie to yourself, you build your future on a false foundation. And eventually, that foundation will crack. So be bold enough to look in the mirror without flinching. Ask the hard questions. Ask the hard questions. Am I living up to my potential? Am I keeping the promises I make to myself? Am I growing, or am I just going through the motions? When you assess honestly, you take back your power. You see the areas where you've settled. You discover the patterns that are no longer serving you. And from there, you can begin to shift. But not before. The truth might sting for a moment, but it will set you free for a lifetime. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. Because awareness leads to responsibility, and responsibility leads to change. Most people don't stay stuck because they're incapable. They stay stuck because they won't face the truth. But not you. You're ready to look clearly. You're ready to own it. Because only what is faced can be fixed. Only what is exposed can be healed. So if you want to rise, start here. Assess honestly. That's how transformation begins. To take responsibility. That's the turning point. That's when everything starts to change. Not when the world changes, not when others finally do their part, but when you decide to own your life. Not just the good parts, not just the easy wins, but all of it. The mistakes, the delays, the patterns you repeated when you knew better, the chances you didn't take. Take responsibility, not for what happened to you, but for how you respond to it. You can't control everything that comes your way, but you are always in control of what you do next. And that's where your power lives. As long as you blame others, you stay stuck. As long as you point fingers, you give away your strength. But the moment you say, this is my life, and I'm responsible for it, something shifts. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop hoping for someone else to fix it. You realize the person you've been waiting for is you. Responsibility doesn't mean guilt. It means ownership. It means you get to choose how this story goes. You're not a victim of your past. You're the author of your future. And authors don't complain about the page. They write a better one. So if your life isn't where you want it to be, take a breath. Then take control. Start making different decisions. Start building better habits. Start showing up like the person you know you can become. No more blaming your upbringing. No more blaming the economy. No more blaming your boss, your partner, or your luck. This is your time now, and it's your move. Responsibility gives you freedom. It puts you back in the driver's seat. It doesn't mean every step will be easy, but it means every step will be yours. So own it. Own your choices. Own your growth. Own your comeback. Take responsibility, and you take your life back to just your circle. Because who you spend time with shapes who you become. Whether you realize it or not, your circle is either feeding your future or draining your potential. Energy is contagious. Attitudes are contagious. Attitudes are contagious. Habits are contagious. If you're surrounded by people who complain, guess what you'll start doing? If you're surrounded by people who make excuses, you'll find yourself doing the same. But if you're around people who take action, who think big, who grow, your standards will rise to meet theirs. You become like the people you're consistently around. So if your circle doesn't reflect the future you want, it's time to make changes. It's not about judging others. It's about protecting your growth. You have dreams to chase. You have a life to build. You can't afford to let your environment pull you backward. Start paying attention to conversations. Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they focused on solutions or stuck on problems? Are the people around you stretching you, challenging you, inspiring you, or are they keeping you comfortable and small? You need people who believe in progress, people who take responsibility, people who aren't threatened by your ambition but who cheer it on. Sometimes adjusting your circle means letting go of old ties, and yes, that can be hard. But holding on to what's familiar is not worth sacrificing what's possible. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to move toward a higher standard. Because your environment either supports your new life or it keeps you trapped in your old one. Find people who talk about vision, people who take action, people who are honest, committed, and real. Make space for those who are moving forward. Make space for those who remind you who you're becoming. You don't need a crowd. You need alignment. A few solid, growth-minded people can change your direction completely. So take a hard look at your circle. Not with emotion, but with intention. Adjust your circle and you adjust your future to break the loop. Change the patterns that have been leading to the same results. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. You can't expect a new life while repeating the same habits. You can't create progress with the same mindset that built your problems. Look around. Look within. Look within. What keeps happening over and over again in your life? What cycles keep repeating themselves? The same disappointments, the same distractions, the same excuses, the same emotional responses. That's the loop. It's not just bad luck. It's not just circumstance. It's a pattern, and patterns can be broken, but only when you recognize them. You have to pause and examine the routine you've been living in. Are you waking up and doing the same things that have led to frustration? Are you thinking the same way and expecting something to feel different? And you can't break the loop with hope alone. You break it with awareness. You break it with a choice. And then with new action. It might feel uncomfortable at first. That's normal. The loop is familiar, even when it's harmful. But don't mistake comfort for growth. It requires disruption. It requires you to interrupt the usual rhythm and say, oh, no more. No more hitting repeat on what doesn't serve you. No more autopilot. No more waiting for life to fix itself. This is your moment to step off the treadmill and take a new path. It might be slower at first. It might feel awkward. But it's real. It's intentional, and it's the beginning of something better. Replace reaction with reflection. Replace escape with discipline. Replace blame with responsibility. Replace routine with strategy. When you shift the pattern, you shift the outcome. Life is not a fixed script. It's a flexible design, and you have the pen. So stop replaying yesterday. Stop letting your past control your next chapter. Every new future starts with a broken loop, and you have the power to break it. Focus on growth. Not on perfection, not on comparison, not on where you think you should be, but on where you're going and who you're becoming. Growth is the real goal, because when you grow, everything else follows. Your confidence expands, your perspective deepens, your results improve. But growth doesn't happen by accident. It's a choice, a daily investment, not in things, not in appearances, but in yourself, in your mind, in your habits, in your skills. Ask yourself every day, how can I get better? Not to prove anything to anyone, but to honor your own potential. Read the book, Take the course, ask the questions, reflect on your day. Challenge your thinking. Push past your comfort. Even one small step forward is still forward. You don't have to leap. You just have to move. And keep moving. Growth isn't always loud. It's not always visible, but it's always powerful. Every time you resist an old pattern, you grow. Every time you choose effort over ease, you grow. Every time you silence doubt and take action anyway, you grow. And the compound effect of that growth, it changes your life. You stop reacting to life and start creating. You stop settling and start striving. You stop blaming and start building. Growth is not about being the best. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about learning from your failures instead of fearing them. It's about staying curious, staying hungry, staying humble. And above all, it's about consistency, because anyone can work hard for a day. But growth happens when you show up again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Make growth your habit. Make learning your lifestyle, because as long as you're growing, you're winning. Success may take time, but growth starts now. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You just need the willingness to begin and the discipline to keep going. Focus on growth and watch everything else rise with it. Step by step. A new life is not built in a day. It's built daily. One choice at a time, one action at a time, one habit at a time. Big change doesn't come from one massive moment. It comes from 1,000 quiet ones. The decision to get up when you don't feel like it. The effort to stay disciplined when no one is watching. The patience to stay consistent when progress feels slow. That's where transformation lives. Not in sudden breakthroughs, but in steady, intentional steps. Most people want the fast track. They want the shortcut. But shortcuts often lead to setbacks. What lasts is what's built with care. What lasts is what's earned through effort. Step by step means giving yourself time. Time to grow. Time to learn. Time to build something solid. You don't plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it. You nurture it. You show up for it every single day. And eventually, it grows. Your life is no different. Each day is a brick. Each habit is a tool. Each decision is a direction. And when you put them together, you're building something real. You won't see results overnight, but you will feel the shift. You'll feel stronger, more focused, more in control. Step by step, you'll start to move away from who you were and closer to who you're meant to become. Even small steps matter, especially small steps, because they teach you commitment. They train your discipline. They build your belief. Don't rush the process. Don't skip the work. Honor the journey. Stay present, stay patient, and stay moving. Progress isn't loud. It doesn't always feel dramatic, but it's happening. Every single day you show up for yourself, you're building, brick by brick, layer by layer, moment by moment, step by step. That's how a new life is made. Let the new you lead. Because the life you want doesn't come to the version of you who's stuck in the past. It comes to the version of you who's ready to rise. A better life isn't found. It's built. And it's built by a better you, not a perfect you, not a flawless you, but a you who's willing to grow. Willing to let go of the old story. Willing to release the identity that was built on fear, failure, and comfort. You can't lead your future from the mindset of your past. You can't create change with the same thoughts that created the struggle. So it's time to evolve. Time to step into the version of you that believes in growth, believes in purpose, believes in action. The old you might cling to excuses. The new you finds solutions. The old you might wait for motivation. The new you builds discipline. The old you might fear rejection. The new you sees rejection as redirection. This shift isn't automatic. It's a choice, a conscious decision to live from your potential, not your limitations. To speak with intention, to act with integrity, to think like the person you want to become. Every moment gives you a chance to choose old self or new self. Comfort or courage, excuses or excellence. The new you leads with clarity, leads with vision, leads with purpose, and most of all, leads by example. Let that version of you make the decisions. Let that version of you set the tone. Let that version of you drive the actions. You already have the potential. You just have to activate it. Let go of who you were. Embrace who you're becoming. And let the new you lead the way forward. Because when the new you shows up daily, the new life follows. So now the path is clear. A new life doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It begins the moment you decide to take full ownership. Step by step, choice by choice, you design it. You build it. You lead it. You lead it. The future you want isn't found. It's created by a stronger, wiser, more committed version of yourself. And that version is ready. Not someday, not later, now. Start today. Let your actions speak louder than your fears. Let your growth outshine your past. And let the new you build the life you were always meant to live.